Go ahead. All right. So let's look at these questions. We're going to correct them, and then I'll ask you to do some work on more trimmed mean questions, which is going to be a handout that should be in the package that you have. If not, I'll make it available online as well. So Calgary, Alberta is known for its Chinook winds, warm winds that blow from the Pacific Oceans and that can raise the temperature significantly over a short period of time. The following table shows the daily high temperatures for 1 week in January, during which there was a Chinook wind. And this is actually a very amazing phenomenon. You could be in January and watch how you go from minuses all the way to plus 15 within, a day or two. You're warming up to that. And, you can literally, like, all the snow that they have will melt in 1 or 2 days. This is middle of January, right? So it's quite amazing how that happens. And it has to do with the mountains that it's surrounded by. What was the mean high temperature for the week? Here they're just asking for the average, right? So this is the average, which we know as this, right? And so we're just going to correct that. And I'm off by a little bit here. And so you got to watch out for the negatives, right? So it's negative 12, minus 14, minus 5, plus 15, minus 8, minus 10, minus 12, right? So you have to make sure you enter the negatives as you're entering it into your calculator, okay? And so you have divided by 7 because it's 7 days during that week, okay? When you add this all up, okay, enter this into your calculator. I actually encourage you to do that to make sure you know how to do negatives. But you should get negative 46 divided by 7. Okay? And that in turn, if you divide that, would be negative 6.57. Remember, we always want two decimals, and it's degrees Celsius. Because all of these numbers, if you look at the top of this chart, are in degrees Celsius. So watch for the units. Go look for them. So the average temperature for this particular week would have been negative minus 6.57. That's on average. But that's including the Chinook, right? That event on Wednesday. So we know already that that's going to be an outlier. And technically, in the long run, you should not be including that, okay? On what day did the Chinook occur? Wednesday, right? High of 15 degrees Celsius. What is the trimmed mean of the daily highs? I'm just going to go out here and say, if you had to identify an outlier, they're all in the negatives, right? You should definitely say that this is your outlier if they ask you to identify it, right? Significantly different, right? That's what they're really asking here, folks. They're asking, when did the Chinook occur? I would have liked them to say, identify the outlier. Well, it's 15 degrees Celsius, right? Plus. What is the trimmed mean of the daily highs? We will say this. To remove the outlier of 15 degrees Celsius, we also remove the lowest temperature. Okay, so to remove the outlier, which is 15 degrees Celsius plus, right? So maybe if you want to put a positive here, we also remove the lowest temperature. And what's the lowest temperature? Let's just scan here. If you look for that week, negative 14 would have been the lowest. Okay, so we'll put down negative 14 Celsius. So if you want to remove the outlier, you have to remove the lowest value, which is not an outlier. It's quite within the trend, but you need to remove it as well. So the trimmed mean here would be everything else. So you basically get rid of the 15, get rid of the negative 14, and then take everything else. Negative 12, negative 5, negative 8, negative 10, and negative 12 divided by, you used to have 7 values. Now you're removing 2, so that should be 5. Be careful with this, okay? And that will give you if you do this right, it's negative 47 at the top. I encourage you to try that, see if you can actually get that, because every calculator is different, okay? If your calculator isn't working, you need to figure it out now. So that is your average, okay, for if you trim it. And notice that you removed, sorry, the outlier was the highest, was on the upper end. If you remove that, the upper outlier, your average is going to come down. It went from negative 6.57 to negative 9.4, right? Because you're losing that, you know, tug of war, the really strong person on that one end, you're losing that person, so it's going to go over to the left, okay? D, which is a better indicator of the expected daily high in Calgary for a week in January, and why? And we would say the trimmed mean, right? Because in general, the plus 15 Celsius is a rare event or a rare occurrence, right? We will just say the arithmetic mean includes the outlier, which skews, right, the average up. It skews it up, okay? Or distorts, or whatever you want to call it, okay? So that's that. So we're going to correct the one on the next page as well. I think there is a trimmed mean yet at the top. Oh, that's the one we just did for the AC, so never mind. I actually grabbed that straight from the book. I don't know if you noticed that. Some of you may have noticed that. Here it is. So why don't we just at least write down the answers? The mean would be $31,166.67. Outlier is the 60,000. Trimmed mean would be 28,000. We remove 60,000 and 15,000. That's just for your notes, right? Arithmetic mean includes outlier. Trimmed mean removes outlier and lowest value in this case. And the weighted mean we're going to wait, right? So we're going to make a little line here like we're done for now. We're going to take a little break from that. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is grab the handout that I'm going to show you here. You should have this in your package. And just trying to find the one that isn't written on. Oh well, it is what it is. So I'm going to stop this right here. Go find this worksheet right here. It says outliers and trimmed means. It says assignment 2 in your package, and I want you to work on that for the rest of today. You have half an hour, so even if you're home, right, grab this handout, and if you don't have it, I'm making it available right now. Okay, so if you don't have this package with the handouts, just refresh your browser or the app, and it's available now. So look at this and work on that, okay?